morning and welcome to the Cherilyn Lee Health Show. It's your host, Dr. Cherilyn Lee. And do we have a wonderful, wonderful guest, a topic and guest for you today? Something I said, after this wonderful holiday, we're going to be a little light and have a little fun today on the Cherilyn Lee Health Show. And I would really thank my guests for being here today. And we're going to kind of jump in and let my guest just explain exactly who she is. I want to say my prayers are with my co-host who wasn't feeling well today. But I want to thank my guest for being here. Thank you so much, Barbara Berg.
Dr. Lee, it is so great to have met you, and I'm thrilled to talk about SHUI, Move Your Rings, Change Your Life, and I really discovered it as I was writing self-help books because I've dedicated my life to writing because I've needed it, and balancing work and family, dealing with stress, and moving on to becoming authentically you. Well, doctor, I had written my first book, What to Do When Life is Driving You Crazy. And I had this idea, and it was. Back in 97, I thought, here I am, married to this wonderful man who, he's a great guy, and then he had this gambling addiction, and it got to the point where I thought, oh my gosh, I better take myself out of this one. And I started dating people that were not too different from him. In fact, he looked a lot better than they did. I started writing, I'm telling you, Doc, I started writing How to Escape the No-Win Trap, where you feel like...
Say that again. I like that. How to...
Escape the no-win trap. And it was about the no-win, W-I-N, because you can find yourself bringing your own patterns to your life and thinking it's other people and finding out that the energy in you is attracting the same story over and over again if you don't learn your lessons, how to let go, how to stop judging yourself and others, and simply learn what to do next. Doc, during that time, I was wearing rings on my middle fingers. I thought nothing of it. I just had them on there. I didn't even know how they got there.
Now you mean your middle fingers? Your middle fingers on both hands?
Both of my middle fingers. And if you notice, Doc, in the last 25 years, that is the fastest, biggest growing chain of command, so to speak, of people across the world wearing their rings. That's the biggest ring-wearing behavior we have in the world right now. Middle finger rings of all ages. And we don't even realize what that represents. Well, this man who knew a lot about energy, I didn't even know about the energy of the fingers and the hands. He said, Barbara, remove those rings. You're going to want less conflict, more love in the future that works for you. Stop engaging in trying to do everything yourself and pushing the good stuff away. I didn't even know I was doing it. Without a thought, because he was right, I had a lot of conflict. I removed the rings. Dr. Lee, my life started to improve. As I was writing that second book, How to Escape the No-Win Trap, I started watching women and then men, and I started to see, oh my gosh, like looking for Where's Waldo. Yes, there is a pattern to where people wear their rings and how they have conversations and how their lives go. I will tell you, the middle finger rings are very self-protective. I can do it myself. People think they're being independent, but it's pushing love and help away, and it's going to isolationism.
No, you're saying when you're wearing the rings on both middle fingers, on both hands.
Now, I'll tell you, one or the other isn't too helpful either, and sometimes you might have a self-protective day, like today I just need to do it myself, or I just need to have my own structure. There are times to do it, but not every day and for the rest of your life. And I guarantee you go to the big cities, small cities, you're going to see more and more action on the middle finger rings by men and women. And here, if we're trying to work on healing, moving closer, having love, that is not the way to go day in and day out.
Now, when you get married, the ring gets placed on your middle finger on the left hand for the women.
It gets placed on the left ring finger next to the pinky.
Yes.
So that's not the middle finger. That is actually the landmark love, receive beloved finger.
Okay,
that
so you know what? Let's, because we're moving a little fast, let me just back up a little bit and tell me a little bit more about yourself and your background and education.
Very interestingly, I came from a very unbelievably educated family. My father was a professor at Rutgers. My mother went to Juilliard, was a great singer. She was working on her PhD when she married my father. And something that influenced me greatly was she was afraid to be a spinster. She was afraid she'd be so educated and too smart no man would have her, doctor. So I grew up under smart women have to play dumb. Let me tell you, bad scene. And when she married my father, he was inclined to have her give that all up and be his sit-beside-me woman. And she did. And she regretted it. So much of my influence has been, no, women can have both, like no kidding. Have love at home and have all the challenges you have out in the world, and yes, they can coincide happily. And I'm not saying it's easy, but let me tell you, I've wanted it both. And when I really look around, I see a lot of people going into the either or, which is what I was doing. So here I went to Rutgers University, Douglas College, and I had a family relations, early childhood education background, and I had child care centers, and then I went on to get my master's in psychiatric social work at Virginia Commonwealth University, and I was a group work major. And I love groups, I love speaking, and I've always loved writing, and that's where my background began.
Oh, my goodness, pretty extensive, especially working with groups and then watching groups' behavior.
Absolutely. And it's amazing the influence groups have and the things that we do when we're in a group and we're not alone. So, yes, and you can also influence the group. And did you know in a group, if you're at a meeting where people are wearing their rings, over time I came to see, they will behave differently.
My. So we're going to get into the rings being placed on each finger. And kind of walk it through each hand in just a few minutes. But I just want to ask you a couple other questions.
Sure.
What possessed you to write a book? Ring, it's like shui, but it's ring shui.
But it's with the hands. But it's
right.
Do you know, I'll tell you, when I was a little girl, each one of us needs to know our avenue and our gift for being able to self-soothe when we have stress. I would say one of the best life accommodations to help us get through a coping skill, and it's even better than that, is when you can find a creative way when you are stressed how to process your stress. Ever since I was a little girl, I would write. And I remember I wrote an essay for the VFW, and they put me in a parade, and I was all excited. I got to go to Jersey Girls State, and I found writing was very rewarding. Other people would read it, they'd learn from it, they'd add to it, they'd make it their own. I loved it. So when I became a licensed therapist back in 92, I found myself just writing, and that's how I got my first book. So I will tell you, it's always been in me to write because that's the way I process both my stress, my joy, and my creativity.
Oh, my goodness. And that is wonderful. And a lot of people, it's very therapeutic in writing, and sometimes even just writing down your life journey. I know years ago through Landmark Forum, there was one of their exercise was to keep writing your life story, to write your life story, to keep writing your life story, and throw it away until you find out your life is just a story.
I went to Landmark Education, and I took a lot of courses there.
Oh, my goodness.
When you learn to see your life is really, your story is your perception of your life. It is not even necessarily exactly the way it went, but depending on what self-worth you bring to the table, that is how you write the story. And I found self-help books, therapy, healings, and then the ring shui can actually help you rewrite your story depending on how you look at connecting to yourself and then to others out in the world. And each finger, literally where you wear a ring, shows how you think you're supposed to connect out there to get your needs met and to provide energy to other people. So that story affects where you wear your rings.
Wonderful. And, I'm so glad that you like I said, you're on. And like I said, this is a wonderful show today, and we normally deal with a lot of serious conditions, but also show ways of healing. But I said, let's just do something light today. So if you just tuned in to the Cherilyn Lee Health Show with your host, Dr. Cherilyn Lee, and my wonderful guest today, Barbara Birch, on Ring SHUI, Move Your Ring, Change Your Life. And we're talking about rings that you wear on your finger. So she's going to give some ancient history also about the stones and what the stones mean to wear them too as we go through this wonderful interview. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in today to the Cherilyn Lee Health Show here at Inner Light Radio, your wonderful healing frequency. And if you want to email a question, you can email us at innerlightradio@yahoo.com, and that's inner, INNER, light, LIGHT, radio, or innerlightradio@yahoo.com, sorry. And if you want to call us, you can give us a call at 310. I always have to. You can give us a call, 310-928-7733. So if you want to call us with a question, you can call in at 310-928-7733. Now we have it. So let's go on with our guest today, and thank you so much for that little break. So Barbara.
Yeah.
Let's keep moving along. So let's talk about some of how let's go through the fingers now. Then we're going to go through maybe the stones and different things and what they mean when you wear them. Okay? So let's just start off with, if you want to start with the right hand versus the left hand, so we make it clear, because our audience are listening and they're not seeing what we're talking about. So we're going to we want to give them a good visual of what we're doing.
Every part of our bodies reveal some emotional connection to ourselves and the world. The more we learn that, the more we see how we're all interconnected in every part, the more we have tools to work with. Do you look at your right-hand side? Just check that out. When you go out to a meeting and you go out to the world to meet people and you go to shake hands, you just put your right hand out there. You're doing that correctly. That is the right hand, do hand, the actual male side, if you will, or masculine, but I would just call that the do side, where you're putting your energy out to the world and it's going forward. The left hand, interestingly, is the receive. Often they might say it's more feminine. I'd say it's the receiving side. It's the coming into me. The flow must happen. It's necessary for things to work. You can't get your laws of attraction in order unless you give and receive. So the left hand is the receiving hand. That's why when you have an engagement ring or a wedding ring, it's given to you on the left side. Now, there are some cultures and people who take it on the right side. That's true. And they can interact with each other quite well. So think of the right hand is the do hand and the left hand is the be hand. So it's the receptive side. So the more you are putting something out to the world, I would say think of your right hand first. Should I start going through the fingers on the right hand?
Let's do that, yes.
Okay. Very interestingly, I have to tell you this, Dr. Lee, I was at an airport one day, and there was utter chaos. All the planes had stopped. No one could get on the plane. Everybody seemed like they were in such a bad mood. But I felt this wonderful energy next to me, and I looked to the right of me, and there's this lovely man from India. He didn't know I was into Ring SHUI. I was still just writing it, and I didn't know him. He simply turned to me and said, I wear a gold ring on my right index finger. That's the power finger. I wear gold and a gold topaz jewel from Nepal. And when I'm in a contract, he must have been an actor, I fight to be able to keep that ring on because I do that for power. So let's start with the most powerful finger on your right hand, the Jupiter finger. It's a quick manifester. When you want to put something out to the world, you wear a ring that lights you up. When you look down at that, you feel like this is my best foot forward, put it out to the world, and that's a good start for you. These are our transformational fingers, the index fingers. This is where you release old wounds. If you're looking for help for your health, put the ring out there. For instance, you're an amazing place to go for health and healing. If you're looking for a place, you've tried other things, it didn't work, but you want to do it a way that really is effective, put it out there. Someone would get to meet you. So there's your right index finger. Interestingly enough,
yes,
that's your friend. Now catch the right ring finger, the one right next to the pinky. That's the Apollo finger, god of the sun. This is the self-love finger, not narcissistically, but the real deal. You are sincerely hopeful and believing, and you have requirements for love that will last. Did you know if you're single and you wear a ring on your right ring finger, that is telling the world, I am actively and worthfully, if that's the word, looking for a love to put a ring on my left ring finger. Wear something that lights you up, isn't too overwhelming, and is a joy to see.
Oh,
let's get to this pinky. The pinky is a light finger. It should be an auxiliary helping other fingers, not by itself, because if you wear a ring on your right Mercury finger, it means you're not a team player. You like your freedom from everyone more than anyone else, and you do it on your own, in your own way, without a team. So a pinky ring is best if it goes along with the ring on the right ring finger, and the two of them in tandem show appreciation for one another. Now those could be friendly fingers, the index, the Apollo, the right ring finger, the Mercury. Let's talk about the world today. Again, the fastest growing place where people seem to be wearing rings, no matter how much you're looking for your soulmate, if you're wearing on your right middle finger, you are going to be meeting people you have to protect yourself from. That's really the structure. I've got to do it on my own. I need my own time today. That's good, one day at a time. Every day for the rest of your life, it'll push away the good guys, the good women, and it'll pull in the people you can't trust. When I see a person who chronically wears a ring on the right ring finger, I know they don't trust very much, and they have to do it themselves, and they're protected from their hearts, and they've been hurt. How's that hit you?
Oh my! I know of several people personally that wear rings on the middle finger, and they are they're always unhappy.
Isn't that interesting?
And they just, because I know them personally, and I just kind of see that pattern happen in their life time after time after time. Now, this is for men and women, right?
Absolutely. I started looking at it for women, but you know how there was a time when men did not wear earrings so much, and now they do in every way. It's very creative. Men are starting to wear rings in different places, too. Everyone's getting into the act now, and I'll tell you, I'm very pleased. And if you're really astute, you can see what they're telling you. Did you know also more men are starting to wear the ring on the right thumb? The right thumb is perhaps the most interesting story of all. And did you know I'll go to places like hospitals, and when I see people standing in line coming in for chronic health problems, they'll have a ring on the right ring finger. That is a subconscious seeking of power in a large way, where you feel you have to clean up and take care of everybody's underwear, and then you wonder why they don't pick up anything and they're sitting on the couch. This is the obligation finger. This is the finger of doing things for everybody else and wondering why they don't pick up after themselves. Rhea is a goddess that really ran the show on obligation and doing everything for everyone else. She's the top right thumb knuckle. Venus, our lovely Venus, picture this one. She would loosen her girdle, run off with the men, had a good time with her husband Vulcan, and she did it with abandon. So when you take that right thumb, picture being obligated to everybody and anything and doing it, and you're not thinking about your own needs. That can get you sick in a chronic way. Check that out, doctor. When people come in,
you know what? Because I do have Yeah, I have a person who is a book writer, and she definitely wears her ring on her thumb, and both thumbs actually. And
Both of them. That means they're without realizing they're looking for power that they're never going to get because they'll be exhausted by the time it comes.
and they have chronic fatigue syndrome.
Isn't that interesting?
It certainly is. It certainly is. Amazing just to
Who
watch the
knew? I mean,
subtle thing.
who
Exactly.
knew? Now, can I just add one very interesting piece, and then we can go to the left hand?
Yes.
Well, I was sitting with a friend in the audience a couple years ago watching the Dr. Phil show. And I was talking to my friend that there are interesting combinations of fingers that you really want to look out for. And so when a person wears a ring on their right middle finger ring, often it means they have crash and burn relationships, crash and burn jobs. They just come and go. They're commitment phobic, and they're not too easy to trust. But there's a deadly combination. There are people who actually will wear a ring on their right ring finger, the Apollo finger, and the middle finger. That means with the right ring finger, they do believe in long-term love, but they put their hope and faith in a short-term crash and burn thing. So picture falling in love with someone where you really want a bad thing to work. You have hope against hope, but it never will. And as I was in the audience, there's this woman sitting there, and also sometimes if one person is wearing rings on your middle finger, your thumb, or not middle finger and your right ring finger, it means you also want to have a long-term relationship, and you ought to be able to dance around the inside elsewhere too, all at the same time. So there was a man in the audience with Dr. Phil, and his wife was there crying. And he was telling everyone he should be able to go to the gym, flirt with all the women, go out with them, and come home and be married to his wife at the same time.
Oh my.
And she was crying, and he did it right there in the audience. Of course, Dr. Phil kept it from being the Jerry Springer show, and everyone was semi-behaved. But he told his story, and I said to my friend, he at least has a right middle finger ring on. Well, he didn't. He had the right middle finger ring on and the right ring finger on. And I can tell you there's a big story going on, Dr. Lee, that is very unspoken and undiscussed, and I want to bring it up here, and I see it in the rings. There's an excellent book out called Parents Who Cheat. And the odds are that when their children grow up, they'll either be cheaters too, or they'll run into people who cheat on them. And I will tell you, when I see people who have rings, whether they're men or women, who have rings on their middle finger or their ring finger together on the right hand, either they're suffering in a really hard situation or they're causing suffering in a hard situation because they've been hurt too. When you see that combination, know that person is trying to smile, keep their head up, but they're in a bad situation. And I see it every time, Doc. It never fails.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just amazing how in me watching. Now, we're going to go through because we're still going to talk about stones. And then, you know, before we're going to talk about now, you know, when you're
and then
ready.
We got the left hand too.
We got the left hand. And if you could kind of summarize again the right hand, because everything was basically, we were discussing the right hand. And like I said, I want a person to have a good visual, a very good visual.
So here's
while
that
we're talking.
visual. Everyone listening right now, thrust your right hand out. That is your hand to the world. When you put your right hand out, you're literally saying, this is who I am, and this is what I want you to see from me. When you have look at that pointer finger. If you just point, that is a finger that really states, this is who I am. You know, when we stand up and we put out the pointer finger, we're really either saying, we're number one, or this is what I want you to get about me. When you do with intention, put a ring on that index finger like, I intend to let people know more about my business today. I intend to find people to be on my team to help me get a project out. I intend to release old wounds. That is a very powerful statement.
Wonderful. You know, just to stop you there, because we do have a caller. Caller, state your name and where you're calling from, and then thank you in advance for calling.
Is that me?
Yes.
Oh, let me apologize. This is Donna. I'm in Virginia, but I just called in. I thought I would be able to listen because I'm having sound issues with the computer. So I'm not ready with a question yet. I'm sorry.
But you will be ready for a question, I know. So put your computer on mute and listen in, because I know you're going to have a question.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for listening in.
That's a good point, Doc. And also, if you've got any thoughts about what you just heard, we'd love to hear any thoughts that really hit you that you might be able to use later. Thanks for calling.
Most definitely. Okay, let's go ahead with our recap here. On the right hand.
Mm-hmm. The right hand, the pointer finger, that's your friend of putting what you want out to the world. The more you think ahead, this is a big one. The more you look ahead at what you'd like to put out there, the more people will get what you really mean to say. You know, when we speak off the cuff or we act like, oh, I didn't intend that or I didn't mean that, the reality is you meant it on some level or it wouldn't have taken off from you. So be conscious of what you're doing, and your life will be more conscious back to you. Then if you take your right ring finger and you wear that, that means you are sincerely hopeful of being a stable person to attract other people to want stability with you. This is a very good finger. In fact, did you know if you have a long-term relationship or you're married and you happen to have a ring on your left ring finger, this is a great place to put an anniversary ring to support the marriage. I will tell you, doctor, the more people I meet that when they're married, they do wear their ring on their left ring finger, and they also have an anniversary or special ring from their beloved on their right ring finger, that relationship will last longer. That will help solidify the love to the heart from both hands. Let's get to the more colorful colors in our fingers is that middle finger. Now, if you take your middle finger and you walk out in the middle of the street and you wave your middle finger around, you're not going to get such a good reception.
No, you're not.
It's really a finger that represents, I'm not too happy with you, and you're not going to be too happy with me. And that's exactly what wearing a ring on that finger says. It really says, bump you, I don't need you anyway. We could have a one-night stand and you're going to be out by Monday and I'm not going to care. And that's not really true. It's just that many people have been hurt so much in the past, they'll be darned if they'll be hurt again, so they act like they don't care.
Oh, my.
And there are also people who said, I've had enough with people, I'm actually pushing them away and I have to protect my heart. But catch this. This is the hand out to the world. So the more you put a ring on that right middle finger, you're going to say, I'm going to actually attract people that are going to make it even more clear that I have to protect my heart, because these are people that are crash and burn. That's a killer to take in.
It certainly is. Like I said, the more you talk about this, because I have your book, and we just met a week ago. About a week and a half ago. And I'm telling you, it's been really interesting looking through the book. That's why I said I have to have you on as a guest, because of the fact that you have so much information to share. You know, and when we look at relationships do affect our health. You know, so
absolutely.
If you're not in a great relationship, that's going to affect your health. It's going to affect who you are. You leave your house, you're not happy there, and you leave, it overflows in the work environment. That's why I usually tell people, if they're working with someone and the person come in grouchy and all these other things, 9 out of 10, they're somewhere in a space and time in their life they're just not happy. You have to first be happy with you. And as we continue on this conversation, we're also going to be talking about people who wear no rings.
Absolutely, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, that's a whole other story, and we'll get to that after we finish going over. We did a recap. If you have a little bit more you want to say on the right hand, because that is so powerful for people to think about that. And I'm so happy you're giving examples.
Thank you. And the points you're making, Doctor, if you want to know how you do relationships, look at your hands and see where you're wearing rings on them, and they will actually give you clues on how you connect. It's not just the people we meet as to whether or not the relationship is good. each one of us has a way of literally doing relationships that it doesn't matter who we're with. We're going to behave how we receive and give relationships the same way. You could be with 50 different people, and I'll guarantee you, you'll behave very similarly with each one. We bring how we do it to the table. Your right pinky, for instance, if you're sitting there right now and you notice you have a right pinky ring sitting there all by itself with no other ring on that finger and maybe no other ring on your hand, it means, you know what? I like you, world, but I like my freedom, and I'm going to enjoy being with people. But more important, I want to know where the exit sign is so I can get out before I get in, because I don't want to be trapped, baby.
Oh, yes.
Casanovas are known for that. The man wants to know he can take you out for a date, put you on his boat, and get rid of you on Sunday if you don't please him. That's a pretty self-centered person right there if it's just a pinky only. They're the takers, folks.
And I see a lot of men with pinky finger rings. A lot of men.
And they could call themselves a consummate bachelor. I've even seen men who are married. They might have a wedding ring on the left hand, but they got that pinky ring on the right hand. That means he wants to be hooked, and he wants to be able to look all at the same time.
Hook and looking, okay?
Hooking and looking. Now, my all-time most interesting ring is that left thumb. Dr. Lee, I have seen people with chronic illnesses. They don't even realize it. They will wear that thumb on the right ring, the right thumb so long, skin will close over that ring, and they won't even be able to get it off.
Oh, my.
Yep. Those ring thumbers. See, also where we wear rings and how we do relationships actually adds to our identity. We can cling to an identity as if it's really us, not realizing it's something we sort of make up on how are we received in our family of origin. Do we carry that out to the world? So on the right thumb, that's the person when everyone gets sick, you're the one that has to take care of everybody. You might be 15, but you're raising 5 other young children, and your mother's out someplace and she's not home. So you learn to have to take care of everyone in order to be loved. That can be exhausting.
Yes, it can. It certainly can. And like I said, you have so much wealth of information, and your book is not a big book, but it's power-packed.
Thank you.
It's a definitely power-packed book, and we will, before the show is over, tell people where they can. Now, just to ask the question, because a lot of people are listening to the show on their internet. Now, is there any way, do you have a website where people can see just the hand so they can follow us a little bit better?
Absolutely. They can go to www.ringshui.com. I also want to tell you I have some tapes of me talking about Ring Shui on YouTube. Check it out on YouTube, and I go through the whole thing. I have rings with me. I show each hand, how to wear them, what's going on with your fingers, and where you can jump in yourself.
Wonderful. The day that we met on the Friday out in Burbank, I did purchase a beautiful blue ring from you. I had on a blue suit, and I also had a meeting right after I left from you. So I just wanted to see how effective that would be. And it was the most effective meeting that I've had with anyone. Because now,
did you have it on your right index finger or your left index finger?
I actually put it on my right index finger.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That blue suit, first of all, was gorgeous. When you wear that ring, it was gorgeous blue. No one can't notice, and no one cannot revere you. It was gorgeous.
And it just, my eyes went straight to that ring. And I'm not a ring person. That's what we're going to talk about. After we do the left hand, we're going to talk about people who wear no rings at all, because I'm one of those people who don't wear rings.
Oh, we'll have a fun discussion on that one. So catch the right, you will never, everyone in the audience, you will never look at other people or yourself the same way again. I am on a tennis team, and I can literally tell you, I can look at where everyone's wearing their rings on which sides and how they're going to be, and if they're going to get feisty and pissy, and if they're going to call the ball out when it's really in. I can really tell you by where they wear their rings. So getting to the left hand now. The left hand, when you think of the left hand, it's inner heart friend. See it as your inner personal expression of you. This is your close to home hand. So let's start out with our friendly fingers here. The right index finger is what I call the queen bee finger. I went to an amazing event where there are these really wonderful old actresses who've been around or well known, and I don't know how much they knew about it literally, but when they came in with their beautiful gowns, I noticed so many of them were wearing a ring on their left index finger. That is the queen bee. That is, I have arrived. I know my worth. You come to me, honey. I will let you know what I need, and you'll love me every second of the day. Is that a hot one or what? That's a pretty heavy-duty one. Now, the left index finger is very powerful and receive. The left ring finger, let's talk about this, Doc. It's a very powerful place for your beloved to give you the gift of the ring. And I want to say this with great love to people receiving it. When someone gives you the ring, you can love them. Let it be a gift from them to you. Don't feel you have to have all this effort and save up your half of the money, or it's a 50-50 kind of relationship where it can start to feel stingy after a while. Start to give people gifts wholeheartedly in your life. You give them all you have in a way, they give you all they have, and you merge in a beautiful way if that's the partnership you want. Also, as we're redefining relationships, we can give partial to each other. But when we give and truly receive. It's great to have a ring there that someone gave you. More and more, I'm seeing people are wearing rings that either their relatives gave them or they got themselves in their left ring finger. I totally understand that. I went through a period of that. After a divorce, I was married to me, myself, and I had 3 rings on that ring finger. I needed to be connected to myself. Can I say something else, Dr. Lee, about getting rings from relatives?
Yes,
I've known a number of people that when they were children, say their parents had to leave or their parents died, they gave the child that ring and said, wear the ring there forever, either on the right Apollo finger, the right ring finger, or the left Apollo finger, the left ring finger. That child would put that ring on there, leave it there forever, and get it sized as they grew up. And the parent would say, I will always protect you. Well, they did. And people would come to me in their 40s and they'd say, I never had a long-term relationship. And I said, that's because your love was so strong for your own adult parent, no one could come close because they couldn't compete with that. No one could feel that you could love them more than the person who was your parent. Well, this person in particular, a number of them have, removed the ring from there, gave it a break for a while, put it in a beautiful black or red velvet case, and wore no ring on the left ring finger, and they started attracting people to date them.
Oh, my. And that's really, we had a caller. I'm so sorry that we lost the caller. So if you want to call back, if you have a question, please call us back at 310-928-7733. And you're listening.
This is heavy, isn't it? I mean,
yes,
it's heavy stuff.
It really is. And you're listening to and it's such a great title, The Healing Frequency. I mean, this is what it's all about, the frequency with the ring and the positions and where to wear them and changing your life. So the healing frequency is a great, I'm really honored that I have a show here with Inner Light Radio, The Healing Frequency, and you're listening again to the Cherilyn Lee Health Show with your co-host, Dr. Cherilyn Lee, and my wonderful guest today, Barbara Birch. And I just want to say, if you have any questions, at the end of the show, we will be giving you her contact information. And also, you can call us here at NutriMed Integrated Healthcare at 310-419-4300. And, I'm going to let you keep on because we're going to talk about these wonderful workshops that you do. And you do consultations for people. But let's go ahead.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They're going through transitions, if they're going through letting go of old wounds, if they're wanting to bring new love in. We're moving into summertime where people want romance. And you can actually say, do I want a summertime love or do I want the love for me? It's a whole different ball game.
Wonderful. Yes. And I think you're going to hear more in Matt. The good thing about this wonderful radio station that I just am so thrilled to be here is that this show will be aired again. And so in different time slots. So it won't be just today. Today we're live. Today is Wednesday. So if you want to call in today, Wednesday, to the Cherilyn Lee Health Show, please call in today with your questions at 310-928-7733. If you would like to email us, please email us at please email us at innerlightradio@yahoo.com. Okay, so we're going to keep moving forward now we're on the left hand.
Now, Dr. Lee, I've got to get to the toughest, most complex, and perhaps angry finger we have, the left middle finger. This one is the story where I often
I don't mean to cut you off, but we have an exciting caller on the line.
I'm excited, okay.
So am I. Caller, state your name and where you're calling from, please.
Well, hello, everybody out there in the world. This is Devanay Unleashed right here on Innerlight Radio, the healing frequency. How you guys doing today?
We're blessed.
We're psyched to have you.
Exactly. Listen, I have a wonderful, exciting question to ask you, and here it is. Now, I want to know if I'm getting this right. Are you saying that heirlooms of the past may have an effect on your future? Are you saying that maybe you shouldn't wear rings that are given to you from your grandma or your grandpa, or is that what you're saying?
You're making a very good point. For instance, I have some beautiful rings from my mother. When I wear them, I will wear them usually on my right Apollo finger of love for and memory from her and for her of Mama, I'm thinking of you today, like her birthday or sometimes my birthday, and I will cherish my love for her. However, say I'm in a position in my life where I'm single and I'm looking for new love, and if I wear her ring every day, day in out, I live in that ring. There's a kind of love we get from our parents and family of origin that's so strong. When people come to see us, we don't realize that there's at least 3 feet of energy that we put out there that people can't even get into the inner sanctum to get close to us, to love us intimately, because the love from those people can be so powerful. So I know long term, Mama, I'm going to wear a ring today and love you. Or, Mama, you're going to give me strength today to go out there and meet people. But not every day, because that way I will have energy open for other people to get in and woo me. Otherwise, the relationship could be too strong. Very important stuff, and I'm glad you called.
That's a very, very interesting statement that you made, because I personally have lots of my mom's who has passed on, a lot of her clothes, a lot of her jewelry, and different things that I received. And a lot of times when I go out, I say, you know what, I'm going to wear this coat for Mom. Mom, you're going with me. I'm going to wear this hat. Mom, you're going to go to the concert with me. But now
you enjoy every second of it, man.
Yes,
every second.
I do. But now that I have listened to you, it makes a lot of sense to open up.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Yes, to open up those avenues of things that could come into your life that may not have a chance to come into your life because of the holding on to such things that you do in the past. That is a wonderful, wonderful thing that you have told me today.
Thank you. It's a very deep thing to take, and it's not always easy. And I'm with everyone that says, oh, my gosh, I don't know about this. It's not an easy point to take in. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much for calling in, Devanay Unleashed.
Well, I have one more question, if you don't mind, ladies.
Absolutely. We want to hear it all.
I have one more question concerning the heirlooms and things that you may acquire in your lifetime. How do you feel about, now this just may be a spiritual thing. It may be something that people say, I'm not going to trip off of that. But what do you think about recycled or used clothes, for instance? Say, for instance, you go to a used store and you say, this is a beautiful sweater. What if that sweater is holding some type of spirit that
now,
may...
this is very interesting when you talk, because there are times I have gotten rings at pawn store places. I love going thrifting, and I love going to consignment shops. Sometimes I look at those things cleaned. There are times you can even go and smudge them if you'd like to, sage them if you'd like to, say a prayer, light a candle over them. I have found there's some things you ever find you might get some clothes where when you put them in your closet, everything lights up and it's a good thing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I put things in my closet and all of a sudden I just say, oh my gosh, it's cold air in there and I've got to get it out of here. So tune in. Is this a kindred spirit you're bringing in? And or is it something that's just not going to make it honey? Absolutely. Very interesting. And also the stories of how things even get to pawn stores could be tragic for other people. And I do think about that.
Oh, so in other words, you're saying that maybe someone was murdered in one of those, some of those clothes or some of those shoes, and they got passed on to the next person?
Well, or sometimes someone's ring was stolen and it ended up in a pawn shop. Absolutely. So you can always say, bless it. If it's meant to be joyful for me, we will see. You can get it smudged with sage. You can do whatever you already do to see if things are okay for you. Do those. Also, you can wear a ring on your right index. You're adorable. And also wear a ring on your right index finger quite often if you're not sure. That will help release old energy and bring you any help you might need that you never thought of. You are asking right-on questions.
What'd you say, Dr. Lee?
No. I just wanted to say that was a very good question, but I had something else in mind, but she just answered it. So we're still dealing with the right hand, right?
Well, the right hand is good when you want to release something. Like, say you got something secondhand, or you're not sure of the energy. When you wear a ring on your right index finger, and even sometimes your left together, that's a very powerful stance. You want to talk laws of attraction, of giving and receiving at the same time. When you're wearing rings on both index fingers, you got it going on. And we can talk about the configuration for really moving through this time period in history to kind of help keep you stable and help bring you to the future. The index fingers are very good at giving you like a compass and insight on what to do next.
Very interesting. Thank you so much, ladies. Have a very blessed day.
And thank you so much, Devonay Unleashed.
Thank you. Enjoy. Have a great call. I'd love to hear from you back.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Yes, thank you. That was a great question. She actually has her own radio show, and she'll be on today right after me. Well, not right after, but at 1:30 to 2:30.
Very great to hear. She has a lovely, lovely voice. Keeps you really going. But these are intricate questions because ring shui, I found, is something to intricately put into your life. I have like a ring wardrobe now, and I think with intention what I will wear and what I won't wear that day. It helps make my day.
Wonderful. I think this is wonderful. So we're still going to kind of move on in.
We got that. The left middle.
Yes. Let's go on with our left hand. Now we're with the middle finger on the left hand. And again, let's give out the website just in case people just tuned in so they can look at the fingers as we go along.
Okay, so there is ringshui, ringshui.com. And also, you can tune in to YouTube because I have some pieces there where I show the fingers and the rings.
Okay, and we'll spell your name. Will you just go to Ring Shui?
ringshui.com. I also have a website after my name, Barbara Berg, BarbaraBerg.com, and that's if you're working on balancing your life. You know, that feeling where if I have love, I don't have time for my work. If I have work, I don't have time for my love. How to put that all together, and the rings can help.
Well, there's a lot of women who are, women and men, but I know more women who have a career in their job and say they don't have time for a relationship. So that would be something great for a lot of our listeners, too.
Absolutely. It all blends together. And I want to talk about that deadly left middle finger ring because that's where so many of us are going.
Yes.
So can I tell a quick story that just blew me away, and it's actually in my book?
Please do, yes.
I have a dear, dear, dear friend, and she had a mom, and her husband left her 45 years ago. And this woman felt really hurt and angry. And she's a lovely, lovely, lovely woman. I've known her and I've grown up with her. But she was hurt. She took his engagement ring, she put it on her left middle finger ring, and she said, "This is all I have left of this man, and I'm never going to take it off." And she was hurt.
Yes.
Well, we talked about sometimes there's a time to let go of that hurt and maybe try to either give that middle finger ring a rest, put it on one of the index fingers, the right Apollo finger, or just say, when am I going to let go of carrying a grudge? That's often the anger grudge finger. Well, this woman went home and said nothing about it. And my friend called her up the next day, and she said, without saying anything, her mother moved the ring from the middle finger to her index finger and had a peaceful look on her face, and she said, "I'm done hating him."
Amazing. Just that easy and that simple.
That's simple, because the index finger is that transformational way of looking at new ways to connect, how to take what you learned and move on. But the left middle finger will hold a grudge and anger forever. There are people who also will wear left middle finger ring, not realizing what they're saying is, I can handle you, I can take on all kinds of things, I can bite off more than I can chew, and I don't need anyone. And we've come through a time period where women and men too have acted like, I don't need anyone. But to have thriving love, to move off of survival, when you need someone in a, not a needy way where you don't get your needs met, but a needful, beautiful way where you change interdependently each other's needs and express them, you won't have to feel so isolated or proving a point. You can feel simply interconnected in a new way.
Right.
So it's a time, if you're going through a divorce or having to put yourself through grad school or doing something, having a journey to Kilimanjaro, put the ring in there for a while, but not forever. It'll make you go bitter and stale.
Yeah. So sometime when a person have lost a spouse and they'll continue to wear the ring. Now, I see that happen a lot. The spouse has passed and gone on, and they're still wearing the ring on the ring finger on the left hand.
I think that's totally fine, because it's also, that takes a while to redefine your identity, redefine your connection, take your time with it, and no two people can say for anyone else how long that is.
Yes.
I've seen people take that wedding ring and put it on the right ring finger. I've seen people leave it on there forever. I've seen them take a break, and I've seen them replace it with others. But that's one place I say, that's a covenant. It's a very holy place for you. You will know when to do what. And sometimes people will wear a ring on the ring finger and then the right index finger to put out to the world, lead me to my next step and show me what to do.
Now, this is a case scenario. A person is in a relationship, and they're engaged, and they break up with that person, and the person gives them the ring back. Now this person used that same ring to become engaged to another person.
How do you feel about that, Dr. Lee? What do you think?
Now, if I didn't know about it, I would think it was a great gesture. But if I knew about it, I would not want the ring.
Because it's just taking the energy of hurt and passing it on. I have to say, I'd like to make a recommendation. It might be my own personal point. I do believe that how we procure that engagement ring can tell the tale of how the marriage is going to go. And I've seen time and time again, and I would love to hear callers say their point, because there's many different sides to this.
Yes.
I've seen happy sides and not so happy sides, where, say, a person gets engaged. The husband-to-be doesn't offer a ring, or might, and the woman will say, no, I don't want any other ring. I'm going to use my grandmother's or my great aunt's.
Okay.
And the guy or the other person doesn't give them the ring. Over time, I'll hear this, he should have given me the ring. Well, you didn't let him, or he never offered. but I find there can be this bitterness. We have very few rituals left. I think the ritual of the new couple, either the person bringing them a surprise if that's what they want, or getting that ring and she picks it out together, or he does, or whichever way this coupling is going to go. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole gesture of someone wooing you and wanting to give of themselves. I have to share with you, when my husband George got me the ring, it was really a gift of him for himself, showing who he was and his generosity to me. I loved every second of it, and every time I look at my engagement ring with my wedding ring, I say, wow, that's what I wanted. I wanted a bouquet of diamonds, and he gave it to me just the way I wanted, and I love it every day.
Wonderful. And now, which finger are you wearing it on?
I'm wearing on my left ring finger. And say we have a day where we kind of have a little disappointment or something happened that day. I looked down and I said, he's basically underneath it all on my team. He's a good guy, and we can work with this. Sometimes I'll put the ring on the right index finger and the right ring finger and say, let's solidify us and help us today. And when I look at that finger and I look at that ring, I say, George, we'll keep going and we'll get through this little spat just fine. Why? Because of the beginning. Exactly.
And sometimes people feel, I'm a person who believes in God, and most people know that. But in what our fingers also are acupuncture points. And
yes.
So we have the acupuncture points in our hand. So this is not some, made up stuff. This is something that goes back in ancient history.
I've even heard those acupuncture points actually lead blood even right up to the heart, some people feel. And someone told me when you press the right ring finger, it stimulates keeping the heart fires alive. Those ring fingers really are for beloved situations. One supports the love on the left hand, the other one really is something there for you. It's something to keep you remembering how and why you even got together. It's great when the person giving it to you is proud to give that ring to you. It's something that makes them feel like they got the gift themselves in giving it to you. What joy is that?
Wonderful. Yeah, it's because there's a lot that people are going through, and especially in relationships. And I'm going to let you kind of continue to move on. And, that index finger that, people have used it in so many ways the wrong way without a ring on it. But to hear the story now as it relates to the ring finger, I think is absolutely phenomenal. And, it's just another way of just looking at things and taking a little bit more observation around things around you and people around you.
Absolutely. That they say the Eskimos have 50 words for snow. So when they're observing snow, they're seeing things that we don't necessarily see down here in California because they have to live with how the snow's going to be. Well, if we have different ways of observing our bodies and our fingers, we'll have more insights to ourselves and others that we never had. So can I take you to the left thumb? Very interesting finger. So lo and behold, I'm noticing more and more people wearing rings on their left thumb. Interestingly, as I've observed it, and then Lisa Greenfield, whom I'll have to tell you about her, she's an amazing hand analyst at truthinhand.com. She said, Barbara, that left thumb, too, is also that obligation of responsibility. So you'll feel you have to do things for other people, and you'll say yes, but you could resent them later. Have you ever been around people where they say, pour the coffee, stay 14 hours at work, take the notes, oh, yeah, I'll be fine. But then when they get home, they're like, I'm the only one who does anything around here, and no one appreciates me. That's the identity of the left thumb, and there's a lot of them.
Oh, yes, I know quite a few of them.
Is that amazing?
It certainly is.
And you notice, you're not going to get them to move that finger too much because they're locked in with that. I always say, if you can remove a thumb, you're moving mountains for the world. Let me tell you. Very hard.
Yes. So, Donna, do you have a question for us now?
Well, actually, I believe it or not, I took my phone with me. I had to make a run, and I was listening all along. And because of some noise outside my window, I missed when she was talking about which ring on which finger to attract love. And why did I have to miss that one? But that's the one that I didn't catch.
Well, I'm sure that Bob would not have a problem of giving you that information again.
In fact, can I tell you the story of the queen bee for the left index finger?
Yes.
Sure.
This will really set this finger right deeply into your heart. You're going to run out and get a ring for this finger. Well, it's interesting. I find as I write books, whatever material I'm writing, it seems to run into me through people and circumstances. And I have a private practice, and I do psychotherapy with wonderful people, a lot of them going through midlife transitions. That's one of my favorites. And a gentleman came in, and of course I tell the story kind of globally to alter things a little bit. But he had a beehive company, and he would take bees to different farms and cross-pollinate them. And I said, what the heck happened? He said, one day I took my hives to this avocado ranch. They were supposed to cross-pollinate, and the queen bee helped them. I said, what happened? She got bored from just sitting. I don't know what was going on. She went out and cross-pollinated, and the worker bees couldn't recognize her as the queen bee. And therefore they wouldn't go back to the hive, because her job was to sit there in her graciousness, hold up the fort, be her wonderful self, because she just knows who she is, and everyone else would work and swarm back to her. But since she wasn't in the hive, they all went all over the farm. He couldn't get him back in his truck, and he was losing his business. Can you top that?
Wow.
Now, I didn't learn this at Douglas College of Rutgers University, that sitting still can help, but I want to share this with you. This is a woman-to-woman thing. When a woman is a princess, she tries too hard. She wants to get everything, all her boobs changed and fixed up, and she'll say to the guy, am I good enough? Am I good enough? Am I good enough? And he doesn't have the structure to go on us. Who is she and what does she want? And he can go and do anything he wants to. But the queen knows who she is. Her love is what he wants, and she just sits on her throne, and she will do what she wants, but she also does it in a way where he cannot wait to be there for her. And I'm thinking, I didn't learn this in the 70s, and I didn't learn it at Douglas. I thought you just have to outdo a man and you're better. Oh, no, no, no. Men need direction, so they don't feel like anything goes. They want to know that there's requirements, not demands, requirements. No one ever told me till I learned about the queen bee finger. This is a killer, and I'm hoping to have some controversial discourse on this one.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the men to call in. I know there are men that are listening.
Men to call in, women to call, because, see, we've all been taught, these generations, do, work, 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 work. Well, there are people who want to be there for you, and they want to feel needed, and they want to give to you. And see, when we've been disappointed by the wrong people so many times, when we meet the right people, we don't trust them either. And this is the killer, folks. We can push the right people away and attract the wrong ones for us and say, see that? There's no good people out there. I'm better off alone. Put that ring on my left middle finger, and that's it. And that's where we stay.
You know, well, I've been one of those people.
I have too, Doc. I would go back and forth between my left middle finger, my right middle finger. One day I'd be in, and one day I'd be out, not knowing that the structure of my knowing who I wanted to be was what's the most attractive thing about me of all.
Just be yourself.
Just be yourself.
Just be yourself.
You can't be loved. You know, we can't be loved really for the, and I wrote 12 books and I crossed the world 50 times by myself. We are loved in everyday things where a smile comes across and says, oh, hon, I loved you so much for just doing that. Thank you. Couldn't do it without you. How wonderful.
Yes.
It's the little things that are big.
Right. And, you know, number one, loving yourself.
Yes, and that shows, that's an emanation.
Yes, loving yourself. And then you don't go out, even with the ring therapy or SHUI, you
Yes.
must still first love yourself.
And you know what you're saying? That's so interesting. Did you know there are people, when you love yourself, you'll be inclined to put them on certain fingers. When you don't, you won't be inclined to put them on fingers. It took me a while to get that ring on that left index finger with the queen bee. I will tell you, I wasn't always easy with the queen bee. I wasn't sure about her. But now I sit on my hearth, and my husband knows what I like, and I'm pretty clear. That's not the oldest thing for me. That's relatively new. I had to learn it.
Well, this may be a personal question. You can or cannot answer it.
Absolutely.
But how many times have you been married?
Well, as a relationships expert, I have made more mistakes than just about anyone I know, and this is my third marriage, and I've got the right guy, Doc, and it took a posse. It took a committee. Let me tell you, the good guys are out there, and I had to do everything differently. No kidding.
Okay. Well, we have a little bit more time here. We can you can give a couple of pointers on, having this right guy. First of all, as we say, loving ourselves, knowing our personal relationship with God and a higher being is so important. But now, what was your steps? Even though everyone is different, but what was yours?
I'd say in moving that ring and taking a break from the middle finger, and I'll tell you the truth, I just did it, and I didn't give another thought to it for a few months till I started looking down at people at workshops and at large, and when I was writing the book, the second one, How to Escape the No-Win Trap, that there was a system, and that people who would try again for love and were willing to receive. The big thing is to receive. I started to receive. If someone gives you a compliment, do you push it away or you go, oh, no, I'm not that good looking? Or do you just say, thank you? If someone asks to help you, do you say thank you? If someone cares to be there for you, do you brush them off or do you let them in? And if you're going out on a date on the first date and if it doesn't feel right, can you say, enough's enough, I'll wait for the right one? Do you say yes to what's really you and start saying no to what isn't, rather than saying, oh my gosh, I can't be alone on a Saturday night? Being more clear and listening to you.
Yes.
Am I willing to settle because I can't find anything else? And do I have to take everything that comes along, or can I choose? I will tell you, Dr. Lee, I joined Great Expectations in 2001. I went out on 180 dates or so. I was ready to give up on men. They felt sorry for me over there, and you could pick videos to look at that time. You could do 5 videos a day. Well, they gave me 7. And I didn't have my glasses on, and there was George. He was born in 1965. I was born in 1953. And I pressed that video. I said, I'll go out with that one. He had just joined that week. I was his only date. And here he was my 181st date. He was And I will tell you, to anyone out there dating, put a ring on your right index finger and your right ring finger so the right one comes along. And please don't date with a middle finger ring. The wrong ones will find you.
Okay. I just want to say this. We do someone has sent an email, and they want to know does the astrology have anything to do with your wearing rings, astrology?
Now, this is a very good point, and I'm talking to people on Monday about it even. Your actual own astrology can and does affect how you're inclined to actually do relationships, interestingly, if you're more inclined to be self-protective with your heart or if you're inclined to be more open. Now, there is an astrology of the hands that there are certain gods, astrological gods, that rule the fingers, and I'd like to go over those. I would say this, more so if you have gone, say, to an astrologist, and they say something like, it would be good for you to be more open to love, and you might be so protective because you've been hurt. If you are wearing rings on your middle finger ring, try taking them off for a while. You can always put them back on, and trying out the index finger and the ring finger. Some of the astrological signs are more self-protective than others. Some leave them wide open. I happen to be an early Virgo and 2 days off of Leo, which I would much rather have been, I think. As a Virgo, I can be picky, I can be quirky, I can be critical, I can be a nightmare for someone to fall in love with. So for me to have 2 middle finger rings, forget it, Dr. Lee. I had to learn to keep those rings away from my middle finger because I'm a pain in the neck anyway. But when I put in my index finger and my right ring finger, I'm more lovable, more willing, and I had to work with myself. So think about that astrologically. And would you like me to go through the gods of the fingers one more time, because they do affect our energy with their personalities?
Yes, let's do that, because that is part of your book.
Very good question.
Yes, so let's do
go
that.
Through the. And we might say they're mythical, we may not. The more I've studied this, the more real it becomes. Take it or leave it. It's been around for 5,000 years at the very least. So let's go with it. Your pinky rings, your pinky fingers are Mercury, the son of Jupiter. Mercury would do all the flying around for Jupiter's dirty work and his good work. He was actually the head of sports, the head of mercantile things, and he could be trickster. So he'll help you out, but he can also play tricks on you. Did you know there are people, and I run into, say, gypsies and people in a power mode, they might wear a ring on their left index finger, their right pinky, or their left pinky, and if you put your fingers out, those are the signs of the horns, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Those can be the I've got power over you, a little bit of magic, and it's kind of little out there a little bit. I have seen gypsy women doing pretty darn well. They've been dancing and looking beautiful and wearing them, and you can woo your man and have magic for a night. I will tell you, that can be scary because it's pretty powerful. I would not do that every day, though, because Mercury sometimes can play tricks on you and things can backfire. Sometimes that's doing things the shortcut. Be careful. Then there's the Apollo finger in the left hand. Apollo will not let you down. When you go to work and you're wearing your wedding ring on your left finger and an anniversary ring or just any ring that's nice on your right ring finger, that goes to your boss. He will hire you. Why? You are stable. When you have fingers on your Apollo fingers, you're stable, will hire you. You're not going to fall in the wind. The middle finger is Saturn. This god, he was a control freak. He could make things happen. He could really get all kinds of things happening in Rome. He could create all kinds of great things, but they would crash and burn. Think of Saturn, Saturnalia. They had a great week of partying, but it didn't last. He'd take the bull by the horns. He would trust no one. It was all about him. Do you want to put all your energy into that? I don't think so. Then there's Jupiter, king of the gods, the index finger, wonderful manifester. If we're all transitioning, my dream is on one day, all 7 billion of us will have rings pointed to the sky with rings on our index fingers and pointing to each other. I will find new ways to love and appreciate and cooperate with you. What a world that will be. And the thumb? The thumb is all about obligation with abandonment. We're giving it all. We're losing ourselves. We're not thinking about us. And, oh, my gosh, I'm tired, but I've got to run your event anyway. And that's the gods, and that's good old Venus mixed up with Rhea. They do it with abandonment. I think Venus had more fun than Rhea, but Rhea had to run all the, you have to take care of everybody else first. There's your show, folks, and it's right on your hands.
Isn't that amazing? And we have...
That's amazing.
We have a few more seconds, probably maybe a good...
Now, Doctor, do you want to talk about the no-ring people?
Oh my goodness, yes, because I'm one of the no-ring.
There was a while there I was a no-ring person. Let's discuss. No rings are very natural, and if you are genuinely happy, you don't need them. Don't worry about them. The energy in your fingers are working anyway. They probably don't need to be amplified. However, if you wake up one new day and you go, my gosh, There's nothing new. I'm bored. I'm in a rut. What else is there? For therapeutic reasons, put a ring on your right index finger and your right ring finger. It doesn't have to be a big deal. Just do it a little bit to just break it up. See what happens for you. Because sometimes people who never wear rings, if they're not happy, it means they take anything that comes along because they're afraid to really astutely say, this is my intention and this is what I want, because they're afraid they won't get it. So they'd rather not even ask.
I always ask, but you know what? That was a process. It was a long journey because of my childhood and certain things, and I didn't wear rings. So a big part of me, I would not ask.
Yes. And to receive and to get more of what we want, we have to ask. And I find as a little girl I knew with me, I grew up in a family that there was a lot going on. And God bless him, I did have a brother and he had schizophrenia, and that was a lot. You know, I became a therapist at a very young age, so to speak. And I'm very proud of him. He did the best he could. He was a very brilliant young guy and had a lot to deal with. And so I learned that his needs had to be met because there was so much going on. And I never knew to ask for what I needed. So I didn't even know I could have needs. And so as I started to realize that I had to ask, and ask in places that I could receive from because they'd be available to me, I had to learn how to look differently in different places.
My. We have covered some wonderful. And let me just say, if a person wants a consultation with you, how do they go about doing this?
Absolutely. They're welcome to email me at Barbara@ringshui.com. That's BARBARA @RINGSHUI.com. And you're also welcome. I love phone calls. I'm still of the baby boomer nature where I like that dialed phone. You're welcome to call me I love text now. I'm actually getting good at texting thanks to my daughter. You can text me or call me. I'll be very glad to get your call at 909-786-7201. Text me anytime. You're welcome to send me a picture of where you're wearing your fingers, and we can take a look and discuss.
All right. Now, if a person quickly, because I know we're about out of time, is going for a job interview, and with the economy being the way it is, I know there's certain colors a person should wear. Back in the day when I was doing job interviews, but I also was trained to interview people for jobs. So I knew what I was looking for when they walked in a room, and I was so grateful that I was able to teach this to my children at a very, very early age. So my youngest daughter, who is now in her mid-30s, she actually went out for a management job of a hotel at age 16 and was hired until they looked at her age.
She's hot stuff.
Yeah.
Very good. Do you want to talk about what she was wearing?
Well, she was wearing a suit, number one.
Very good.
And I can't remember if she had a ring because that was so many years ago. But she wore a suit. I gave her a briefcase. She did wear some glasses. Well, she didn't need glasses. She wanted to look astute. She was trying to look a little older because she was 16.
Yeah.
And because she's a very tall girl, and did not look, she went in looking very, I'm ready for this. This is my job. She went in like, this is my job. I could be the manager of this hotel. And it was not a small hotel. And when they sat down, they was floored when they looked at her age. So appearance had a lot to do with it. Well, let's just talk about rings and job interviews. Which ring?
And this is a very interesting economy. Now, there are different positions that we look for in a job. For instance, if you're going to a job, say, in the creative industry, where your art will be used or your writing will be used, you can wear a ring on your right index finger. Not too overboard necessarily. You never want to overwhelm the people interviewing you because you want them to think she doesn't want my job and I can sleep at night and she'll get what I want her to get done, so to speak. Just wear a lovely ring on your right index finger and you walk on in, and that's a good creative interview. If you're taking a job, though, one of those jobs where you just kind of have to do what the boss wants to do, it's not too creative, it's an everyday job, you just want to bring total stability in that room. Do you know you can wear rings on your index fingers and your right ring finger the night before to help think about it? But when you go for that interview, either wear no rings at all if you're not married, or a ring on your right ring finger, but don't overwhelm the interview for them to feel at all like you're too ambitious and want to take their job. So no rings or a ring on your right ring finger. And if you're married, do wear a wedding ring. And
Wonderful.
that you want to show utter stability. They can count on you, and you're not going to try to run away with the show. What's it like hearing that one?
Oh, that was great. That was great. We do have a caller.
It's very realistic.
Caller, state your name and where you're calling from area code 233-2329. So please state your call.
Yes, this is Dr. Holt, and I'm calling because this is such a fascinating thing. I wear a ring on my index finger on the right hand, and you said that was the power finger?
You got it going on, Doc.
All right. I've been wearing one. I've been wearing one on that finger for a long time, and then I wear another one on my right hand on the ring finger on the right hand, but just those two. That's it. So
can I ask you, Doctor,
Yes.
do you attract good people in your life? Because that's the attracting good people in your life configuration.
Wow. If they're not good, then they stay away, and if they are good, they stay. And if they are not good, I've found that they change. They will change. They will try to be better.
Oh, wonderful.
Isn't that's because you're an influence, it shows your influence can improve the behaviors of others. They want to be a better person around you.
Yes, and it's really fascinating. I'm loving this subject today.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And so are we going to go into what the stones mean, the different stones for rings?
And we can touch that. And did you mention something about pinkies? Did you want to know about the pinkies?
Yes, the pinky ring.
Let's discuss, especially with you. So you've got a ring on your right index finger, your right ring finger. That pinky, again, remember it's Mercury. On occasion, if you want to show that you appreciate what you have going on, you're having a gratitude day, you keep thinking of what you appreciate, that pinky can be supportive to the other rings. But not all the time, because sometimes all the good work you've done, it can start to kind of turn on you, and people can kind of run away with the show and all your goodwill. So just do it on a day where you say, hey, I want to show appreciation. I've got it going on. I'm a star today. Yeah, you can do it, but not every day. And let's go
now this is on the
ring.
same finger on the right hand? You're talking about the pinky on the right hand? Okay. All right. Because I do wear a ring on that finger, too, sometimes, but not often. Mm-hmm.
But not all the time. And can we talk about colors and gems? I literally have to say this. Yes, there are some gems that definitely make a difference. They're absolutely wonderful. I've also found if there's colors of those gems that not exactly are the gem, you can sometimes get a pretty good bang for the buck if it lights you up. I've looked at all angles, and I have many angles to go, but I have found it's how much do you get a sense of joy when you wear the ring. I'd love to tell you, oh, yes, they all have to be expensive rings, and I don't need to love to tell you that. If you see something that lights you up, that's the deal. Citrine, which is a golden, sort of beautiful, goldish kind of looking gem, if you wear citrine, and relatively large on your right index finger, that's pretty powerful, calling in abundance. And what they wear over in India are those beautiful gold topaz, more rare, coming from Nepal. That's a piece of work. The beautiful topaz blues, if you wear it on your right ring finger, the Apollo finger, that's a beautiful woo love blue. And rose quartz, beautiful, lovely, not overbearing, not overwhelming. Put that on your right ring finger. That's saying, I'm healing love, I have a heart for this, and yes, I'm going to move on, and my old hurts, I'm going to let them go. Moonstone is a lot of fun for the left index finger, of love in the night, kind of exotic. And if you really want to rock your socks off one night, wear those opals. They're very sexy gems.
Oh, my goodness. Now, what about stacking rings on one finger? Like sometimes I'll wear 3 on one finger, but they're all the same.
That's a very good point. I'd like to make a statement here, which is kind of interesting. When you do, if the stack can go all the way down to the bottom of the finger, that gets your best intention. Mm-hmm. For each ring, if you can say, this is my intention for releasing my new business. This is my intention for looking for a new assistant. This is my intention for looking for a new office. If each of those stacked rings can represent another intention, you'll get more bang for the buck and more power.
Okay.
Have an intention.
Because I just do it subconsciously. I'll just put them on.
Isn't it? And you know what? Most of our behavior is so far underneath, we're not quite sure what we're doing. But we're doing it.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for calling in, Dr. Holt.
All right,
Thank you very much. You know, I have a question that was emailed from someone a little while ago, and they wanted to know which, after a breakup with a relationship, which ring should you, let me see if I can find, which ring should you put the finger on if you break up? I mean, how do you mend a broken heart, more or less?
Okay. Are you saying to use that same ring and put on another finger, or give that ring a break and wear a different ring?
Let me see. The question was, I think, and I'm going to go back and find it. How do you kind of mend a broken heart after a breakup with a relationship? Maybe if the person gave you a ring.
I would say, again, in a velvet box, put that particular ring away for a while. Get a healing kind of ring that you like on your right index finger and put it out there that you are looking either for help to let that energy go, or that just puts energy out that's healing. You want to learn to lovingly put that energy behind you and get to a place of newness for love. And the more you feel that energy has gone behind you, and you can find more love, then also add a ring to the right ring finger that, again, you got, or a friend that you went shopping with, and it's just between the two of you, two buds, and that way you'll say you're ready for new love. But do not put the ring on the right ring finger looking for new love until you put the ring on your right index finger to let go of the old wound. You don't want to put love on top of a wound.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that. We have an email from Robert Jones too. Rings to improve relationships with the opposite sex. How do you improve the relationship? Thank you so much for your email, Robert Jones.
Okay. I have to say this is a very adorable thing, and I'll make it quick. I was at a hotel, and I saw this adorable couple. They were just falling in love, and it had that first 3 months look in the relationship like they just met, and they were just going at it, and they were so delightful. And then I looked down. Each of them were wearing rings on their right middle finger, and I thought, oh, no, it's going to be a crash and burn. It's not going to last. Who knew how it all went? But the point is, if you want to repair relationships and you're wearing rings on your middle fingers, call a truce. Take the rings off the middle fingers, and each of you wear a ring on your right index finger just to give it a try, and it can feel very foreign to you. It can be very uncomfortable. Often the more we need it, the more uncomfortable it is. You don't have to wear it out. You can even wear it at home at night. It's just a healing finger. And each of you, if you had a ring on your right ring finger, that can help too. Feminine energy can wear rose quartz and pearls. Male, intense masculine energy, if you're really going for it, can wear titanium or tungsten. There are actually ring stores out there now more for men's energy rings, tungsten and titanium.
Oh, my. Okay. That's good to know. Because Mr. Jones have another question here. He often has close relationships with women. Is there a way to use rings, your ring SHUI, to improve relationships with men?
Yes. If you wear a ring on your right index finger and you're just putting it out there, no matter where you're coming from or what your stance is, it means you're going to have a willingness to see things from a different perspective. And quite often, that's what improvement is needed in a relationship, is to see things another way. Relationships cannot improve unless someone alters the way they see things and the way they give back. Otherwise, they stay stuck and they dig in, and the relationship cannot improve.
That's good to know. Because, you know, a lot of times men, even married men, have friends, a lot of friends who are women. And they, you know, and they have wives or girlfriends, and there's nothing going on. It's just they have friends with a lot of females. So,
and do be careful that it's not coming across like an emotional affair, where that friendship, the best friendship a man could have with another woman, is if she is totally supportive of his marriage. However, if he's starting to take his joy of the day to this other person and has less and less to say to the wife, that's hurting the marriage.
Okay, that's good to know.
Now, only have friendships that support your basic intimate relationship, really. That's a biggie.
Yeah. Now, one other question here. Are there rings that can help in repairing a broken relationship?
Yes, the rose quartz, get more of that. Turquoise color is very soothing on the index fingers. If someone has said something that was if a woman has said something especially that was not nice and she wants to take it back, have her wear pearls. And a man, if he wears something that's either gold or silver, you know, each one of us, sometimes we're more attracted to gold or silver, just something on his right index finger and or his right ring finger. A lot of men don't wear rings there, but they're starting to. It shows he's willing to change, he's willing to listen, he's willing to learn something new.
On the right
That's
index.
The sign. And if a person is married, I'd like to say this, man or woman, and they haven't been wearing their wedding ring, deep down I often hear from the spouse, I will never ask him to put it on, but I sure wish he would. Do you know when you wear your wedding ring, the other person feels more solid, more secure, and more safe?
Well, I would think so, or he's out there busy and don't want people to know that has a wife.
Yes, yes, and yes to
or
that.
Husband.
Yeah.
Yes. And a lot of people will take them off when they're somewhere else and don't want people to know that they're married. So that
then
makes
there's the
a
old
lot.
tan line that goes on. Yeah.
Yes. So we have now. What would you like to say for our listening audience to walk away with something so profound? This entire show has been profound, and you're listening to the Cherilyn Lee Health Show with your host, Dr. Lee. But we have like 3 minutes before closing. So what would you like to say that's so profound for our listening audience? Because everything has been.
Something that can most raise the radio frequency of this planet is the more we're around people that have self-love and recognize their worth. Yes. They'll raise the ability for others to have self-worth too. Yes. And if I can walk down the street and see people walking around with their right ring finger and the right index fingers at the same time, I would stop and talk to them and say, what a joy to see you today. And I would be inclined to make a comment, and I'd know they could receive my compliment, and we could possibly get to know each other. And it would be a sign of self-love and love extended to me, and that would raise my frequency. And that is what I'm walking around looking for now. How can we raise the frequency of the joy and the light all together, all at the same time?
Yes, and once you go ahead and give your website so people can purchase the book, because there's so much more information within the book that we didn't even touch on the show.
Thank you so much. So it is on my website, www.ringshui.com. It is also on Amazon. If you look for it on Amazon, because it's my second Ring Shui book, it'll be titled or known as More About Ring Shui. I have my basic Ring Shui book up there, and also my second one. Amazon calls it, because it has to have a different title as there's two of the same books, More About Ring Shui. Check it out on Amazon. I have it on Nook and Kindle, barnesandnoble.com, but the people are loving those Nook and Kindles.
Oh, they certainly are. And I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today, because it has been it's been a different show. And
I've loved every second of it, Doc.
So have I. And so many people are going through so much and not knowing how the relationships and everything is a major impact on your health. If you're in an unhealthy relationship, you're in a toxic relationship. So much of this is going to affect your health. And so we want to be happy within ourselves, which is so important, and love yourself, which is a major importance of our everyday lives. Wake up happy and joyful. Gratitude is so important. And I see a lot of gratitude that you mentioned throughout the book. And speaking about the rings, gratitude is so important for healing and for getting more. You have to be grateful for what you have first.
Right, then you get even more because it's known from the universe. She'll appreciate this.
Right, so we're closing. I want everyone to repeat after me. I am so grateful.
So grateful.
That I am
a
magnet.
A magnet.
For miracles. And thank you for emailing me your miracles. Thank you so much.
Doctor, this has been a joy, the best time ever, and thanks so much.
Thank you. I'll have you back again. Have a wonderful and blessed day, and come back with us next week to the Cherilyn Lee Health Show.